Now, let's take you to the Eastern Cape, where President Matamela Ramaphosa is expected in Port St. John's this afternoon to assess the impact of the recent floods in the area. Apart from displacing residents, the floods have also caused extensive damage to the road network. Residents are waiting to see whether a disaster will be declared in some of these areas. Ronald Masinda is joining us now live for more on this. He's in Port St. John's this afternoon. Ronald, good afternoon to you. I mean, I think hundreds of people have been left homeless, and there's all sorts of challenges for the people of Port St. John's beyond just infrastructure damage. What's the latest that is happening there as they are expecting the president to visit the area this afternoon?
Good afternoon, Brad. Well, mopping up operations are still continuing in Port St. John's. As you enter the town, you could even see a lot of people still working, in particular on road infrastructure, and this has led to many delays coming into town with several stop and goes as you drive towards town. But as you rightly mentioned, many people are still left homeless. We are hoping to get more of an update as to some of the contingency plans that have been put in place since the recent floods. But I am joined by COGTA Minister Themisile Nkadimeng to tell us more. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. I guess my opening question, you've been here for a bit, not a long time. What have you assessed?
Well, actually, the National Disaster Management Team have been here since Thursday, jointly with the municipality and the district, in trying to deal with the assessment and the mop-up and the relocation of families, particularly in the green area farms, into the youth center where they are currently housed. And the repairs of damages have already begun in some areas, particularly the road infrastructure. Sanral has done its assessment, and they are actually will be commencing with R61. That's the road which you are talking about as you enter and you exit town. There's quite a number of road areas that have been damaged. So I can say the system is well underway. We are able to now tell how big the damage is. We had this morning and yesterday evening a meeting with traditional leaders with one sole purpose in mind, besides them being part of the cleanup campaign, but the availability of land to enable human settlement. Deputy Minister has been here since Friday of human settlement up to date with the regard of the assessment of the families that are at the youth center to ensure that they are allocated land and also be able to build temporary shelter for those families. Department of Health, on another hand, Home Affairs, the center is now fully operational, and we intend that the households should be ready for occupation by the families that are affected by the floods.
How important is the President's visit to Port St. John's?
Well, as COGTA, we feel the visit is very important. You will recall we actually did not classify this as a disaster, but still on the old classification. If you recall, there were floods here in February. There was heavy rain also at the end of the year, and at the time that KZN was also affected, a portion of Port St. John's was. So it's a build-up into different areas that are now becoming a big and a huge of a challenge for the municipality to manage at their level. And it was important for the President to come visit and be able to see physically the areas where the municipality will not be able to handle them on their own. Hence the involvement of the National Disaster Management Center to assist the provincial disaster. But I must also commend the province under the leadership of the Premier, who unfortunately, due to a sitting in legislature, will not be part to receive the President on the work that they've been doing from the November to the February, and ultimately the major floods that have come now. And they've been able, as a province, to try. There's quite a number of learners who are affected, school access bridges, and Ma and Jim Tsekha is also with the team on the ground to ensure that they repair, but they also avail learner material and availability of what needs to be given to the children who are affected at the center. Lucky enough, we only have about 2-3 days for the school period where we have kept the kids at the center, and she's working on a catch-up plan when school reopens, and we hope at that time would have been able to distribute everything that they need, that all the learners are utilizing in schools. And Public Works would have done the access bridges, Sanral would have done the main roads by then, and life began to normality, and then we build the economic development of the city, because if it gets flooded, I mean, Ackermans here in front of us is closed because it was flooded and they lost all their store. So there's quite a lot, even small businesses, and the Minister of Small Development is also a part of the team that is rebuilding Port St. John's.
And I guess one may say that this has been a baptism of fire for you as a minister. You haven't been in office for too long, but there are a lot of issues to deal with, especially when it comes to these disasters. Will there be conversations had with municipalities? Because some people, especially residents, the ones that we spoke to, have said that if some of the infrastructure was properly in place, this wouldn't have exacerbated the issue of the flooding. Will this be part of the conversation?
You are actually correct. I mean, for example, from as early things as ensuring that the early warning systems are adhered to. So the South African Weather Service must warn you, but you must be prompt so that you don't lose life. And that's our key responsibility as government. But secondly, some of the planning really, as they say, beyond the planning of municipalities, you also need even planning for disaster. I mean, why would you go and look around on whether our banks have got sponges when people are already sitting in a hall? So we need to have food banks in such areas because we know they are prone. We also need to have logistic and material banks to ensure that our response rate is even quicker. But we also need our communities to partner with us, because in some of the areas where they are staying, even if you put any type of infrastructure, they actually shouldn't be residing there. And there are difficulties in understanding, and we understand it's a sentiment to a place where you were born and raised. It's not easy to detach, but now the climatic conditions are facing us to do things differently as government, but also as communities.
Are you going around and speaking to people about climate change? Because I think this is a very important subject.
We are. We actually, as I'm saying, that we need to fully, as the center, utilize the weather services. They're able to predict, but also not only short-term prediction. They're able to tell us which areas now, 20 years to come, are going to be water infested, which ones are dry. So we need to be able to talk to those who are in dry areas, conserve water, conserve every drop. Those who are in excess, how do we channel the water to better utilization? And countries like Germany, Denmark, they do some of these things slightly better. That is why you find that even water that is excess is used as part of the beautification of the natural essence of the town. And that's the direction we will be taking.
Ma'am, thank you very much indeed for your time, Pradan. That was the Cocta Minister. And I can tell you around Port St. John's there's already a buzz. We are seeing quite a lot of people wearing ANC regalia. So this could also be an opportunity for the President perhaps to try and drum up support ahead of next year's general election. It's back to you for now.
Thank you very much, Ronald Masinda there at Port St. John's in the Eastern Cape.